What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. My name's Kindal. I've been a personal trainer for almost 20 years, and in this podcast, I love to present to you the things that I've learned as a trainer, as well as my personal experiences in the realms of fitness, nutrition, and just living a fitness lifestyle. I try to be as real as possible so that you don't have to go digging around trying to figure out what's real, what's crap. I try to provide those facts for you right here in the show. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about muscle mass, specifically when it comes to cardio. Is cardio, if you're doing it with a strength training program, diminishing the ability for you to put on muscle, to build strength, to see physical results with your body when it comes to how your muscle tone looks? That's what I want to take a deep dive in. But first, before we do, if you have not already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, whatever platform it is that you're listening to. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on weekly podcast episodes. And in case you guys didn't know, over on the YouTube channel, I also put out weekly workouts. So definitely don't want to miss out on that. So even if you are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, whether it is Spotify or iTunes or whatever it could be, you could be missing out if you're not also following over on YouTube. So head over there. It is Fit Women's Weekly over on YouTube. Had to think about that for a second and go check it out. And then the last thing is, if you listen to these podcasts because you're trying to figure out more about your own fitness journey, what kind of workouts should work best for you, it can be pretty exhausting, right? Trying to dig through, finding the best workouts, trying to plan when you could be actually doing. And I would love to take that planning away from you. And I can offer you that with Fit Women's Weekly Live, which is my online training studio, where every day I go live 2 times a day, not just to go over a workout, but to actually do the entire workout with you so that I take the planning away from you. I put it on to me as your personal trainer, and I become your workout partner. Because if there's one thing that I've learned in all these years as an athlete myself, is that the best way to get better, to get stronger, and to see results is to push yourself and challenge yourself. And having a workout partner is the best way to do that. If you are the best in the room, I recently heard this quote, if you're the best in the room, find a new room. So come hang out with me. You can do it for free for 14 days. I'll put the link down in the show notes, or if it's easier, just head over to fitwomensweekly.com. Okay, so let's talk, you guys. And if you hear the rain, we are actually in the middle of a tropical storm right now. So the lighting is off a little bit. I just wanted to be completely transparent. And yeah, we've got like seriously historic possibilities when it comes to flooding. So keep Charleston in your thoughts right now, but I know a lot of places are getting it worse than we are. But if you just hear some noises in the background, that's what's going on. But I'll do my best to try to edit and make it seem as perfect as possible. All right, so I was scrolling Instagram like we all tend to do, and I came across this post that simply said, well, not simply, it kind of made me go like, what the crap is this person talking about? And it's just old school thinking. So let's chit chat about it. It says, cardio won't change your body. Cardio won't change your body composition. It burns calories in the moment, not all day long like muscle does. And yes, it is. That part is very, very true. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. But basically it says, essentially too much cardio can keep you stuck where you are or even cause weight gain and make it impossible to body recomp by. So body recomposition is simply the idea of trying to build muscle mass at the same time as burning body fat. And it is possible to recomp. We've all heard about tracking your macros in order to do that. It's a lot easier if you are unconditioned and getting started with a workout program than those of us that have been working out consistently. It's very hard to bulk or to add muscle mass without adding a little bit of body fat sometimes, but it is possible. You just have to be smart. So anyways, it says, essentially too much cardio can keep you stuck where you are and even cause weight gain and make it impossible to body recomp by increasing your hunger and unsustainable levels, preventing a lower body muscle growth, increasing likelihood of overall muscle loss, and keeping your midsection soft. Body recomp equals muscle growth, fat loss, which is what I just said. But too much cardio can mess with our hormones, impacting leptin, which is the hunger hormone, and cortisol, increasing belly fat and raising crazy hunger. Additionally, if you don't store excess body fat in your lower body, too much cardio will prevent muscle development in your legs and glutes, leading to little to no body recomp or change. The easiest way to prevent it? Keep cardio minimal at all times. This is also important because your body gets used to cardio output and you'll need to maintain or increase that level of activity for it to continue to have the same effect. And I'm not going to say who this person is because I don't want people going to attack them, but I do think it's very important to acknowledge fear-mongering or self-promotion where she's trying to share her story. Basically, it's like a documentary, right? With a documentary, you can learn so much, but it's very biased and it's going to lead you to think what it wants you to think. And the way that this particular influencer or trainer worded it, makes it sound very legit. However, this is crap and this is very old school thinking. Yes, even when I first became a personal trainer, I actually had a program called Cardio is Making You Fat, because with this idea that too much cardio, it can, once you're starting to work out and you burn through your sugar stores, it's going to then start to eat away at your muscle or your protein in order to help give you energy for your workout. So this whole idea was that too much cardio is actually going to eat your muscle mass and not make it so that you gain muscle mass. Now, that is a very old school way of thinking, and we know now that that is not the case. First off, if you're new to, or if you're a longtime listener to this podcast, you know that when I am a runner, I love to run. I've been running for over 20 years, and I'm also a lifter. I love kettlebells, I love barbells, I love heavy dumbbells, I love challenging our bodies with weight, and I'm such an advocate for the importance of strength training, especially for women, for our health, for our bodies, for our metabolic health, and for our confidence levels. But I think that hybrid training is the way to go, because just like training our skeletal muscles of our arms and our legs and our glutes is really, really important for our overall health, so is cardio training. Our heart is a muscle, right? And we want that muscle to remain as strong as possible, and that means getting outside and actually doing cardiovascular workouts. If you're going to train the rest of your body, why would you not also want to train your heart? I want to be super strong, but I also want to make sure that my heart is healthy and I can breathe and I can do really cool things. So that's what she had to say. Now let's kind of break this down and actually go into a little bit of science. I did look up meta studies. I looked up actual physical studies to see, is there any truth in what this says, and should you be a little bit weary when it comes to your cardio exercise? So here's what we got going on. While some say that cardio exercise can maintain and increase muscle mass, others say that too much cardio can decrease our muscle mass, right? Well, here's the actual information when it comes to cardio and muscle growth. Cardio can actually improve your muscular endurance, which is the ability of muscles to perform work. So we already know that muscular endurance is the whole thing that you're trying to do when you are doing your cardio work. But aerobic exercise can actually cause muscle hypertrophy as well. And in fact, there was a study performed, and I'll make sure to link all of this stuff up, but resistance exercise training is and I'm gonna read straight from the study. I don't wanna mess up anything at all. Resistance exercise training is a conventional exercise prescription to induce skeletal muscle growth. Therefore, to confirm the efficiency of aerobic exercise training in eliciting skeletal hypertrophy, we compared our findings with a traditional resistance exercise program that was conducted within the same lab. The same methods were used to analyze skeletal muscle size after 12 weeks of either resistance or aerobic exercise. A study was conducted and implemented 12 weeks of knee extension exercises, 3 sets of 10 reps, in men and women for the purpose of the review, and we'll focus on the placebo group, which did not consume acetaminophen or ibuprofen. Which that did demonstrated. And so with that, with just the leg extension, it had a 9% increase in quads muscle volume after resistance training. The gains in skeletal muscle volume after resistance exercise training was not different from 12 weeks of aerobic exercise training, which is to say that actually aerobic exercise can also cause muscle hypertrophy, not take away from it. So point number one. Then she talked about leptin, right? She talked about how too much cardio or just cardio in general can affect your leptin. Now, leptin is a hunger hormone, and I have my studies on that. Leptin is a hormone that helps regulate appetite and body weight. It's produced by the fat cells and released into the bloodstream, where it travels to the brain to signal that the body has enough fuel. So ghrelin is your hunger hormone. You've probably heard of ghrelin before. When you eat ghrelin, or when you have increases in ghrelin, you become hungrier. With leptin, when you produce leptin, that's your body signaling that you are full. It's your satiating hormone. And so she's trying to say that your body isn't going to produce leptin as efficiently, meaning that you're going to want to eat more. However, according to a 2006 meta-analysis, leptin, like I said, is synthesized by fat tissue, has been noted to regulate energy balance and metabolism, and thus influence body weight. The influence of acute exercise and chronic exercise training on circulating leptin and its relationship with hormonal and metabolic changes that induce energy balance are presented. Research has examined the influence of exercise under various experimental conditions on leptin, and the conflicts of its literature are presented, and it appears that a significant caloric perturbation of over 800 calories is necessary for acute exercise to result in reduction of leptin. So basically, in contrast, exercise training can result in leptin decline, but it typically manifests in a reduction of adipose tissue. So yeah, because it's made in your fat cells, that means if you lose body fat, it's going to change your leptin levels a little bit, right? On the other side, it takes doing a cardio workout of 800 calories or more, which is generally over 90 minutes, to elicit this response where your leptin is going to be increased, and it's going to be slower to tell you that you are actually satisfied. So in terms of muscle mass, we now know that cardio is not going to stop you from building muscle mass. It can actually help you. And when it comes to your appetite, it's going to take very high intensity, very long periods of time to change your overall appetite throughout the day, right? Now, the thing that I will say is, can cardio affect your ability to recover? It can actually help your ability to recover from strength training, because it's going to help to increase blood flow to those muscles. Blood flow brings nutrients, which means you get to recover faster. Now, there are some downfalls. If you are doing these high periods of cardio, 800 calories or 90 minutes or more, 60 minutes or more for some people, then yes, it can cause a little bit of extra strain to the body. And so that's why it's always noted that the order, if you're going to do them both on the same day, that's where it can have an effect on your hypertrophy growth, because it's just putting a lot of strain, right? It's just like if you were to do strength training for 4 hours, that's a lot. And instead of going into an anabolic state, you can go into a catabolic state. So if you're doing a cardio workout and you're doing strength training, then yeah, that's a lot on the body, and it could diminish your returns. So if you want to make strength your focus, then make sure that you're doing your strength workout first before your cardio. And if you can, try to separate them as much as you can by up to 4 to 6 hours, so that your body does have that rest period in between them. And if you do that, and you're making sure that you're fueling your body properly by getting enough carbohydrates and by getting enough protein to help with that post-workout protein synthesis to help your body repair and build, then there's no reason that you need to stop doing your cardio. And then as far as this whole idea of cortisol levels, we are fear-mongering the heck out of people, thinking that anytime we raise our cortisol levels, that that's a bad thing. That is not necessarily a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when our cortisol levels stay high, or go high and then stay high. We want to avoid that, because yes, then we can cause like stress-induced belly fat to build. But cortisol is a hormone that our body actually needs. And anytime you're exercising, that is stress, right? And so yes, your cortisol levels are going to naturally rise, but as your body recovers, they will come back down. The same thing with insulin. People are so afraid of insulin, but that is something that our body needs. And throughout the day, it's going to increase and decrease as our body is digesting and breaking down carbohydrates. So don't let this idea of like, oh my God, cardio is going to make my cortisol rise. It's supposed to. We're causing stress on the body, but as we recover, that's what makes us stronger, fitter, have more endurance. So don't be so afraid of it. It's when you're continuously doing it over and over. But that can happen with not just cardio, that can happen with you're doing any type of exercise for too long, for too many days in a row without taking adequate rest. So to this person, this is crap. Please make sure that you are focusing on strength training and cardio to be the healthiest version of yourself. Now, of course, there's always going to be areas where that's not the case. If there's something particular, you're working on a bodybuilding show, then maybe you are going to decrease your cardio. Maybe you're going through something with your health where you do need to decrease it. But generally speaking, to be the healthiest version of yourself, you need both. Do not be afraid, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to build the most beautiful biceps because I'm also going for a run. And also remember that even if it were to stop your muscle hypertrophy, your muscle building abilities for a little bit, most of us aren't trying to go to the Olympics. We're not walking out onto the stage. We're trying to be the healthiest, strongest versions of ourselves. So think of it that way. You can still do that. You can still implement both of them. And if you have questions, let me know. And I would love to know, what is your current training status right now when it comes to matching and fitting in both strength training and your cardio? Fill me in. And again, if you need help with this, Fit Women's Weekly Live, my online training studio, where I go live 2 times a day with a 30-minute workout and a 60-minute workout. It's based on helping to bring these things together so that you're going to get the cardiovascular benefits for your overall heart and lung health, and you are going to build some serious muscle and serious strength to help with your bones, and to also, of course, when you look in the mirror, be like, dang, I am one strong lady. I know for us, with this rainstorm coming in, I had to go pick up water and stuff in case we do lose power, and I was able to bring it all in one big trip, and I was like, thank goodness, this is why I work out. This is the ultimate definition of living your fitness and functional strength. So if you're ready to live your fitness, go try out Fit Women's Weekly Live. Show notes have the link so that you can try it out for free for 14 days. If you guys have questions or you have topics that you want covered in a future episode, never hold back. Fill me in. Slide into my email, kindle@fitwomensweekly.com, or you can slide into my DMs, Kindal Boyle Fitness. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, that's just one small way that you can help support the podcast without a single penny. It's just helping to support and being active with me. When you see posts, give it a like, give it a comment, even a smiley face or a thumbs up or a sweaty emoji. I love sweaty emojis. Mean the world to me and can really, really help the channel and help the brand. So if you listen to this podcast, but you've never supported it in any other way than just listening, which is fabulous, of course, but there are other ways to help support too. And simply following along on social media can help, or you can go try Fit Women's Weekly Live out for free, or I will put a note down or a link down in the show notes for buying me a coffee. All right, guys, give this podcast a thumbs up, subscribe, give it a review, and I will be back in just a couple of days. Hopefully, we're not swimming around Charleston at that time. Bye. Mwah, mwah.